Good day and welcome back to my channel. So kit review time. Have another project in the works, and while I'm cracking into this, I want to go ahead and throw out a review on this Revell 1/32 scale H145. This is the it's French, so Aerospatiale EC145. This is the military version. I guess that's what the H and the M, helicopter 145M for military. It is the LUH KSK. Believe this is German. I believe it's yeah, it is German. Can be used as either a troop transport or a surveillance helicopter. The box is kind of cool. You have pictures. The ends have pictures. Flipping over, same thing. On the back, you have some details, and I apologize for twisting my camera, so let's bring that back to the thing. Model kit, you have 1, 2, 3, a bunch of language. So, like me, it's English, complex model kits for experienced modelers for level 5. Here are your paint callouts so that you can pick those up before you get cracked into it. So there you go, yeah. This is a fairly new tool, as I understand. So we are going to go ahead and crack in, and let's see what we have in here. First off, side opening box. I'm going to spend 3 seconds and give my traditional whine about Revell side opening boxes. I hate side opening boxes because then it's challenging to keep things together. As you can see, you have to dump stuff out, and then putting stuff away, you don't have a nice thing. Okay, so that was 5 seconds. I'm done now. So we have plastic, 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 and plastic. Interestingly, just out of, there they are, parachute glass. So there's your clear. So as is always, I'm going to start off with the instruction sheet. We'll zoom in just a touch. All right, and let's take a quick look. See, so as is typical of Revell, here is how to model. Here are what your symbols mean. Here is what the other. Here's your paint callouts. Looks like you've got, multiple different languages, multiple different types. You have water slide transfers. You have your sprue callouts. Now here's interesting. You have a bunch of, this is almost reminiscent of Dragon in that you have a lot of blocked out parts. So that will be something to keep in mind. All right, so let's crack into the instructions. So you have a choice. You are going to make either a surveillance or a troop transport, and that makes a difference, apparently. So you will follow through, and we will see that as we go through. So there's your the very first thing it's telling you to do is fill holes. So that suggests that we're going to see different versions. Either this is a tooling for the civilian version and is being modified for military, or vice versa. So being not an expert in the EC line, I can't really speak to it, although that's common modeler practice. So here we go, and we start paying attention. We get to step 15. I mean, as is always, we start cracking in on the cockpit, which is what always happens with helicopters. You build your interior first, outside in. You have your cockpit chairs, which look kind of meh, but I am going to assume that the chairs themselves are meh to begin with. Your instrument panel, there's your paint. Your surveillance version is of one type. Surveillance, your internal layout is a certain type. For your troop transport, they are different. So as you can see, for surveillance, you have 4 seats in your cargo bay. In a troop transport, you have 9, and they are laid out differently. Then you have water slide transfers on the inside. So obviously, as is always, you paint the thing first and then put it together, and then you also put looks like placard information on the inside. You have as is always, your glass gets applied to the inside. And that goes in, your door goes up. Here we go. Looks like that part goes in there. The little timer means let it dry. Putting together your rotor plate. So your rotor plate looks to be uninteresting. So you're starting to put together the top part here. It looks like you don't have a whole lot of detail availability, so you're not going to see the engine piece. You don't have any option for seeing the mechanics of the thing. So it's sort of relying on the fact that, you know, it's a helicopter. And you know, all your detail is wrapped up in that. Tail planes, your fenestron, however you want to pronounce it. These are interesting anti-rotation techniques. Sort of kind of cool. There's your build. Looks kind of straightforward. Doors. And then your engine part, your engine piece, and your rotor blade housing clipping onto the top of the cabin. And then also clipping onto the back of that is your tail assembly. Interestingly, your lower windows and your front window, or your lower vision windows and your front window go onto the outside, so they're applied externally rather than like everything else where they're inside. And your doors, also interesting, look to be sandwiched, so your glass is going to be sandwiched there. That will be interesting. Getting that done without getting glue, the plastic glue onto the plastic, or onto the clear. Yeah, so, you know, as I think about it. So, this is kind of cool, it's interesting, but, you know, as most modelers are aware, when you're putting in plastic, you tend to use white glue or some other kind of non-fogging glue for that, and the standard sheet is PVA glue, which is fine. The thing is, you have a very small, depending on how these fit. Now, if these fit well, great, the white glue will be great. But when you have these little two top pieces there, you hit that with Tamiya thin. Is that going to bleed through onto, you know, your capillary action going to hit down to the plastic, which is then going to fog the glass? I don't know. Maybe if we just put a thing of white glue on there and then hit it with Tamiya thin, it'll block it. That'll be interesting. We will see how that goes. Then rolling through here, looking at the other assembly pieces, windows going on the inside, your back doors. So yeah, the nice thing about this is you have, this helicopter design has the tail door, something used often in the civilian rescue version of the 135. So it pops open, and there we go. There's your alignment for your little details here, and nothing really extraordinary here. Then more surveillance or troop transport pieces. So your surveillance, your nose for the surveillance gets a surveillance camera. Troop transport just gets wire cutters. Little handles. Your upper assembly is outside of the main side doors. For surveillance, get surveillance equipment, and troop transport get winches. Makes sense, but it does make a difference. Then you get through, then you have how to put on your rotor blades, putting rotor blades on, putting your struts to the swash plate, etc., and then your dome over top. So it says don't glue the rotor so you can spin them, yay. And then color callouts and where your, not color callouts, but your transfers call out. And it gives you a nice little look into that. So, looking at that, it looks to be, what, it says like 300 parts. How many steps? 80 some steps. But they're sort of specific, you know, they're not super complex, but they look to be workable. And safety advice, so be careful what you're doing. Don't eat your model. It's not good for your digestion. Very interesting callouts. Doesn't say by whom. Revell, sort of matte. Your carrier film looks kind of small, so that's good. It looks close to the transfer surface. Here, let's get a look at the specifics here. Oh, Airbus, not Aerospatiale. I'm sorry, Airbus. Duh. So here are your instrument panels for your cockpit. Your seats, interestingly, are transfers. I have not seen those before. I know that it seems to be the thing. I've seen a couple of other reviews on other kits that have had those. I've never seen them. We will see how they work. You have carrier film between them, so between the seat, the upper seat belts. So let's see how that goes. I will try them. I'm curious to see how they go. So anyway, decals. Let's look at the plastic. Yay. So let's get a look-see at the plastics of this thing. Yeah. I hate tape. I'm not a big fan of the way Revell packages, but you know, hey, what am I gonna do? No one's gonna listen to me anyway. So let's take a look here. Detail looks to be fairly crisp, and I'm going to change how I'm looking at things. So let's see if I can help you by actually looking through here. There we go. Detail's nice. I don't see a lot of flash. Ejector pin marks, of course, on the insides, but don't look to be on places that matter. Nice. Ejector pin mark. Inside and outside. So this will be, I assume, on the inside of the seats. A little disappointing, but it kind of fades into the structural work of it, so you can kind of hide it. And let's flip over here to see the other side. Obviously no flash. I wouldn't expect there to be. There's your instrument panel, or one of them. And we saw the transfers for those. So the question will be how well the transfers lay down on the surface detail and whether or not it's better to use a transfer or a paintbrush. Huh. Alright, so there's your seat belts. Or there's your seats with the seat belts in them. And I'm assuming the expectation is you are going to water slide transfer on top of those. We'll try one. We will try one and see how it goes. That level of precision sounds just a little bit complex, or unnecessarily so. But hey, let's see. There we go. Let's pop this bag. Your skids. Ejector pin mark on the skid join, which puts a little bit of flash at the join. You've got that. I'm assuming is necessary because it's on both sides. This is going to be an annoyance to remove, but we are modelers, so. But take a look at that. I'm assuming, there we go. Yeah, that right here will be annoying. But otherwise, your detail, very fine detail pieces. These also are going to be somewhat annoying. I believe those are your spot plate connectors for your control surfaces for your rotors, if I recognize those properly. These look to be the winches. A couple of ejector pin marks, but there's workable, not really bad there. Okay. Not terrible, not fabulous, but hey. Why there has to be so much tape? Sorry, I am whining. I do apologize. A little. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and see how clear those are, because one of the things about a kit like this is the clarity of your plastic, of your clear, is what shows. So it looks good. You have some deformation at the curves, but that's kind of going to happen. You really can't help that. But the the places where you would expect it to be clear are pretty clear. So I'm okay. I'm comfortable with that. So I'm going to set this aside here, and I will rebag that later. I won't waste your time while I do that. Tail assembly. It's actually very smooth, but then again, that is something you do expect in a helicopter. The surface paint job of a helicopter tends to be very smooth. So here are your other instrument panels, and again, it will be interesting to see how the decals go on for those, water slide transfers, whatever word you want to use. And again, the seat belts are molded in. So if you were going to put a crew with this, and if you're going to diorama it, there's some work there. Just something to think about. Antennae and other control mechanisms, that is going to be a real annoyance to pull. It's a very well finely molded part, but I see that breaking when you try to get that off. Good luck. Again on these, so I get it, I understand. That's a good place to put an ejector pin mark, I suppose. But where in you know, to put an ejector pin to kick that out makes sense. But if you look at the way the whole thing is molded, that will be a bit of a, I don't know, annoyance. Again, here. The parts look good. The parts look good. I don't want to just chew on it. There's absolutely no detail at all on this tailplane. Okay, so we'll look at the cabin in a minute. So little bits of rivets there, but there's nothing. There's a little bit of detail here along here, but the rest of this is completely smooth. And I am going to assume, having not seen the actual aircraft, that that's accurate. So there's your fenestron, your blades, very thin. That looks good. I like that. I've whined enough about this, but so they had to get them to you somehow. Although I would think about I would think about trying to mold those in a way that aren't like this. Maybe in a smaller sprue that's more specific. I don't know. I'm not a modeler. So backside of this. This is a flat surface. So you have ejector pin right here. And that's going to mate up. You can tell on this flat surface here. So this all has to go. You have your, I guess if you're going to put your marking somewhere, that's the best place of all to brand it. But you're going to have to sand that off, guys. Sorry, my apologies. These are more chair pieces. Sanding work, might as well do the work while they're still sitting on the thing. Your rear doors, now these doors have a satin finish. This is glossy smooth. So this tailplane is glossy smooth. The doors have a satin finish. I'm going to be interested to see what the cabin feels like. Your tailplanes, your tailplanes have a satin finish as well. But the detail's crisp. I'm seeing flash, but very, very, very tiny bits of it. So it's not terrible. So let's crack into this one. All right. We'll put this down. We'll pull this out. I'm seeing. Hey, let go, tape. Come on, thank you. Okay. More pieces here. This looks to be your upper front assembly, up above where your engine housing is. Decent. All right, so again, this is the inner part. So it looks like your doors go together in two pieces. This is the inner part of the door. So the outer part of your door is plastic smooth. So this is the inside of the inside door. This has a satiny but not super satiny finish, so it's there. Your blades, you have some marking, but I don't think they're going to show up. Detail. Yeah, so ejector pins are going to be things to work with. There's those. Yeah, so those are what look to be ejection points that didn't fill. You can see how that was damaged. You can see how that's there. I'm assuming. Yeah, so that's got flash. That one right there has flash. Be a little bit of cleanup, I think, but it shouldn't be too terrible. And there's your door. So it looks like these doors are all coming together in multiple pieces. So this, I'm curious to see how the plastic or the the clear plastic is going to go in there. So there's these are your front pilot seats, and they are nice and glossy. Crap ton of flash here for a new mold. It's a little surprising. Piping, your control pedals. So not piping, I'm sorry. Collective stick. So that's your not your collective, but that's your cyclic. It's your cyclic stick, your collective stick, your rudder pedals. Not bad, except for the flash, which is a little disappointing and surprising. All right, so there are your holes that it says to fill out or cut. So that tells you which one. So these are your those are your mount points for whether it's a troop transport or surveillance. And seriously, guys, branding on the inside, which is right on the inside of where you're going to see it. So you have the branding and you have the markings there. So yeah, you're going to have to identify them, and then you have to sand them off. Fortunately, the instructions look to be able to tell you where they are, so you don't need the markings. But, I mean, come on, really? That did not need to be there at all. You've branded it. You want to brand it there. So this is the underside that you see on the outside, I believe. And this is your ceiling, roof, whatever, of your cabin. And your rotor hub. Yeah, not terrible. Not terrible, but a little disappointing. I mean, the planning was, I don't know, the planning isn't quite the word. The decision to brand in certain places was not always the wisest. And that's something I would call the wisest of choices. So let's pull this. So here's the rest of the clear. Pull the rest of the stuff out. I'm going to get the rest of this plastic out of the way. Get the bags out. And again, I will rebag those later. You guys don't need to watch me do that. Okay, so there we go. Rivets. There's your rivets. Raised rivet detail. So here we go. Very little recessed paneling. Recessed paneling for the door that does not open. And there are no panel lines for the cabin. It is rivet detail. Rivet detail and back door. So we saw the back door. We saw what that was. This is the inside of the back door. So this detail does not continue on the back door. The back door is clearly going to be different. All right, you have more branding on the inside, but I believe there's a piece that goes over that. At least I'm hoping there's a piece that goes over that. Otherwise, you are doing some more sanding. Actually, I don't think there's a piece that goes over that now that I think about it. Oh, yes, there is. Yes, there is. So, yeah. All right, that one you don't have to, because those pieces will go there. So this one you do not have to sand away. You have internal detail, or internal cabin detail that will be covered up. But, I mean, you're going a little crazy with the branding here, guys. Really don't need to brand it all. I don't think you're going to find other people copying this. thick marks there. Internal parts, or the door here. There's this. I like it. I mean, the detail's nice. This is really kind of nice. I'm. Okay. So this is why. So yeah. All right. So you have all that rivet detail here, and then you get to your upper engine housing that goes right above it, and there are some very faint fanal lines, but no rivets. My guess is this. So clearly, this is a different version. This is the tail rotor version, which is all that blocked out stuff. So it's a different version of the helicopter. Has the upper rotor blade assembly, or it has a regular external rotor for counter rotation, and this is there. So this is different. Now I'm curious. Now I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go look at pictures. I mean, is there really a whole ton of rivet detail only on the cabin and everything else glass smooth? Because this is glass smooth. No, not glass smooth, but no, see, this one has rivet. So this, you have rivet detail here. You have no panel lines, but you have a rivet. You have a couple of raised panels. You have rivet detail here on the planes. Your fins have nothing. They are glass smooth. And then these are smooth. Smooth, but all right, it's more satiny with a couple of rivets there and panel lines here. So now I'm curious. Now I'm going to go look and see what we have. So there's that. I'm not complaining because it kind of sounds like I am. It sounds like my outside voice is nothing to complain. But I'm pointing it out. I'm pointing out what I see. And that's what you get when you watch me unbox something. So, glass is good, but yeah, not scratched. You're going to get some warpage there because you can't help it with something like that. That one's meh. That one there's kind of meh. So the one that matters, and a big old bloob right there. See if I can get it right there. You can see it. Big old bloob right there. Big old bloob right there. And it's not clear. It's not sharp. So you have a lot of ripple. There's a lot of ripple in the surface of this thing. You can kind of see that there. This is like nothing. This is the one that goes in the back window, and it's a little disappointing. So yeah. Set this aside. We'll rebox it in a moment, and this is the last bag of parts. I believe this thing goes for not a lot. So this is looks like your back seats. Nice small detail. There's your cutters. Okay, so that is the Revell. Bring the box back in. That is our Revell model kit number. Does it have a model kit number? 4948. There we go. Model kit number 4948. 1/35th scale. H145M. So it's a military version of this kit. It is okay. I'm really not sure what this thing is retailing for at the moment. It's good. You have a lot of really nice stuff. So like this really fine detail work, these really fine detail parts are there, which is really nice. You have some nice detail on the cabin. I think that's appropriate. I'm not sure. I don't know. You know, this is a artwork. It's not a photograph. But there's a lot of inconsistencies too. The clear plastic is meh. The clear stuff is sort of okay. The you know, some of those really fine parts, they're really, really nicely molded, but they're also going to be a real pain in the backside to get off. So that's what we got. If you're interested in this kit and are looking to go pick it up, you now have an idea of what's in this box awaiting you. There's some work, although it looks like it can put together a fairly good kit. So I hope this helps you out. I hope you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ping me, and I will talk to you guys later.